Hello, and welcome back to Subconscious Stories. Take a moment, just for a second, to close your eyes. Feel the gentle rhythm of your own breath, the rise and fall of your chest. Now, imagine yourself standing at the edge of a wide, flowing river. The water moves with an unhurried, inexorable power. It doesn't fight the rocks in its path, it simply glides around them. It doesn't strain to reach the ocean. It follows the natural pull of the earth, and in doing so, carves canyons through mountains of stone. It is powerful not because it is forceful, but because it is yielding. It achieves everything by not striving against its own nature. Now, open your eyes. What if you could learn to navigate the complexities and challenges of your own life with that same effortless grace? What if, instead of constantly pushing, struggling, and resisting the flow of events, you could learn to align yourself with a deeper, unseen current, a natural order that guides all things? This isn't a fantasy or a far-fetched dream. It is the very heart of one of the most profound and influential philosophies ever conceived, a stream of wisdom that has flowed silently beneath the surface of human history for over 2.5 millennia. Today, we journey into that stream. We are going to explore the world of Taoism and the almost mythical figure who stands at its source, Laozi, the Old Master. Through his timeless text, the Tao Te Ching, we will uncover a way of living that offers a powerful antidote to the stress, anxiety, and relentless pace of our modern world. This is a journey not of rigid doctrines or complex rules, but of gentle observation, of unlearning the habits that create friction in our lives, and of rediscovering a more authentic, harmonious, and effective way of being. So, take a deep breath, quiet your mind, and let's step into the river. The water is ancient, and it has much to teach us. Part 1. The World of the Old Master. To truly appreciate the radical wisdom of the Tao Te Ching, we must first transport ourselves back in time, to the world from which it emerged. Imagine ancient China, not as a unified, monolithic empire, but as a fractured landscape of competing states. We are in the latter part of the Zhou dynasty, a period from roughly 771 to 256 BCE, an era of profound social and political turmoil that historians would later call the Spring and Autumn period, followed by the even more chaotic Warring States period. This was an age of constant conflict. The old feudal order, where a king held supreme authority over loyal lords, was crumbling. Dukes and princes who once paid homage to the Zhou emperor now styled themselves as kings, raising vast armies, building massive fortifications, and engaging in ceaseless campaigns of conquest and intrigue. The ground was soaked in the blood of soldiers and peasants alike. Alliances were made and broken in the blink of an eye. Trust was a rare and precious commodity. The common person's life was fraught with uncertainty, subject to the whims of ambitious warlords, crushing taxes, and the ever-present threat of being conscripted into an army from which they would likely never return. Yet, as is so often in human history, this very chaos and existential uncertainty created a fertile ground for intellectual and philosophical inquiry. The breakdown of the old order forced people to ask fundamental questions. What is the basis of a just society? How should a ruler govern? What is the proper way for an individual to live amidst such chaos? How can we find peace and stability in a world that seems to have lost its way? From this crucible of conflict arose a remarkable flourishing of thought, known as the 100 Schools of Thought. It was one of the most dynamic and creative intellectual eras in all of human history. Sages, scholars, and thinkers roamed from state to state, advising rulers, debating with one another, and attracting disciples. There were the Confucians, who argued for a return to tradition, ritual, and a society based on a strict hierarchy of moral obligations and duties. There were the legalists, who believed that human nature was fundamentally selfish and that only strict, unwavering laws and harsh punishments could maintain order. There were the Mohists, who preached a doctrine of universal love and radical utilitarianism. And then there was a quieter, more enigmatic voice, one that spoke not of rigid social structures or draconian laws, but of a deeper, natural order that lay beyond human contrivance. This was the voice of Taoism, and the figure history attributes it to is Laozi. Who was this Laozi, this old master? The truth is, he is a figure shrouded in mist and legend, as elusive as the Tao he described. The primary source for his life comes from the historian Sima Qian, writing several centuries after Laozi's supposed existence. According to Sima Qian, Laozi was a man named Li Er, who served as an archivist or keeper of the records in the royal court of the Zhao dynasty. This position would have been significant. It would have given him access to centuries of accumulated knowledge, histories, rituals, and philosophical texts. He would have been a quiet observer at the center of a decaying empire, watching the hypocrisy and folly of courtiers and rulers play out before his very eyes. Legend tells of a famous encounter between Laozi and a younger, more ambitious philosopher, Confucius. The story goes that Confucius, seeking wisdom, visited Laozi to inquire about the rites and rituals of the past. Laozi, unimpressed by Confucius's focus on external forms and societal rules, offered a cryptic and profound critique. He advised Confucius to rid himself of his arrogance and desires, suggesting that the true path could not be found in dusty old rituals, but in a direct, intuitive understanding of the natural way of things. Confucius, though perhaps bewildered, left the meeting deeply impressed, comparing Laozi to a dragon, a creature that rides the winds and clouds, so powerful and mysterious that its nature is beyond human comprehension. This story, whether historically accurate or not, beautifully illustrates the fundamental difference between the two philosophies. Confucianism, focused on shaping a better human society, and Taoism, focused on aligning with the cosmic order of the universe. The most famous legend of all, however, concerns Laozi's departure from the world. Growing weary of the moral decay of the Zhao court and the endless strife of the world, he decided to leave civilization behind. He climbed atop a water buffalo and began a slow journey westward toward the vast, untamed wilderness, seeking solitude and tranquility. As he reached the Hanggu Pass, the final outpost of the kingdom, he was stopped by the gatekeeper, a man named Yin Shi. Yin Shi, who had foreseen the sage's arrival in an auspicious astrological sign, recognized Laozi's profound wisdom and felt a sense of dismay that this great knowledge was about to be lost to the world forever. He implored the old master, "Sir, since you are about to withdraw from the world, I beg you to write a book for me." Laozi, a man who believed that the deepest truths could not be contained in words, was hesitant, but moved by the gatekeeper's sincerity, he agreed. He paused his journey and, right there at the mountain pass, he composed a short text of around 5,000 Chinese characters, divided into two parts. The first part dealt with the nature of the Tao, the Wei. The second part dealt with De, its virtue or power in the world. After he finished writing, he handed the scroll to Yin Shi, climbed back onto his water buffalo, and continued his journey west, disappearing forever from the pages of history. That short scroll of writing, born from a final act of compassion at the edge of the known world, became the text we now know as the Tao Te Ching. Its survival and influence are nothing short of miraculous. It is a book unlike any other. It is not a systematic philosophical treatise with logical arguments and proofs. It is a collection of poems, aphorisms, and paradoxical statements that are meant to be contemplated rather than simply understood. It speaks in riddles and whispers. It points to a reality that words can only hint at, like a finger pointing at the moon. The text itself is a perfect embodiment of its own philosophy. It is fluid, humble, and profound, revealing its deepest meanings not to the aggressive intellect that tries to pin it down, but to the quiet, receptive mind that allows its wisdom to seep in. Part 2. Unfathoming the Tao, the Unseen Source. The very first words of the Tao Te Ching throw us directly into the deep end of the river, into a paradox that defines the entire philosophy. Chapter 1 begins, "The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name." This single opening statement is perhaps the most crucial key to unlocking the entire text. Laozi is telling us, right from the outset, that what he is about to discuss is fundamentally beyond the grasp of language and concepts. Our human minds are built to categorize, to label, to define. We see a tree and we name it tree. We feel an emotion and we name it love or anger. This is how we make sense of the world. But Laozi warns us that this process, while useful, is also limiting. The moment we name something, The moment we slap a label on it, we have separated it from the infinite, seamless whole of reality. We have made it a thing, and in doing so, we have lost sight of its true, boundless nature. So, what is this Tao? The word itself simply translates as the way, or the path. But it is not a path you walk on in a literal sense. It is the path that everything in the universe follows. The Tao is the ineffable, unnameable, fundamental principle that underlies all of existence. It is the natural order of the cosmos. It is the source from which all things arise, the force that sustains them through their existence, and the ultimate reality to which they all return. The Tao is not a god in the Western sense. It is not a personal, conscious being who created the world and sits in judgment over it. It is more impersonal, more fundamental than that. If you must think of it as a creative force, think of it less like an architect with a blueprint and more like an endlessly fertile spring from which all of reality bubbles forth spontaneously, without intention or design. Chapter 25 describes it this way: there was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite, eternally present. It is the mother of the universe. For lack of a better name, I call it the Tao. Imagine trying to describe the concept of wetness to someone who has never touched water. You could use all the words you want: moist, damp, fluid, but none of them would capture the actual experience. The Tao is like that. It cannot be understood through intellectual analysis alone. It must be sensed, felt, experienced. And the best way to do that, according to Laozi, is to quietly and humbly observe the natural world. The Tao is in the effortless orbit of the planets. It is in the patient turning of the seasons, the cycle of winter's dormancy giving way to spring's vibrant life, the fullness of summer yielding to the harvest of autumn. It is in the way a seed, without any struggle or strain, knows how to sprout, to reach for the light, and to grow into a towering tree. It is in the way clouds gather, release their rain, and then dissipate, all without a commander. It is in the way a river flows to the sea, effortlessly finding the lowest ground, nourishing everything in its path, yielding to every obstacle, yet ultimately overcoming them all. Nature is the great teacher of the Tao because it operates without ego, without ambition, without forced effort. A tree doesn't try to grow, it just grows. A cloud doesn't try to rain, it just rains. This natural, spontaneous action is the signature of the Tao at work. To grasp the Tao, Laozi uses a series of powerful, recurring metaphors. One of the most important is the idea of emptiness. In Chapter 11, he points out that the usefulness of a clay pot comes from the empty space inside it that holds the water. The usefulness of a room comes from the empty space within the walls and roof. The usefulness of a wheel comes from the empty space at the hub where the axle goes. In our culture, we tend to focus on what is solid, what is present, what is full. We value a full schedule, a full bank account, a full stomach. But Laozi asks us to consider the power of what is empty, what is receptive, what is open. The Tao is like this ultimate emptiness, a vast, silent, formless potential from which everything solid and manifest arises. It is the unseen that gives rise to the seen. This is a profound shift in perspective. It suggests that true power lies not in being full of yourself, your plans, and your ideas, but in becoming empty and receptive enough to allow the natural flow of the Tao to move through you. Another key metaphor is that of the uncarved block, or Pu. This represents the original natural state of things full of infinite potential before it has been shaped, named, and limited by human intention. A block of wood, before it is carved, could become anything: a table, a chair, a statue. Once it is carved into a chair, it has lost the potential to be anything else. Laozi suggests that we, as humans, are happiest and most in harmony with the Tao when we can return to this state of simplicity and naturalness, before our minds have been carved up by complex desires, rigid beliefs, and social conditioning. The sage is someone who retains the simple wisdom of the uncarved block. From the ultimate unity of the Tao, all of the dualities of our world emerge. This is the concept of yin and yang. The Tao itself is the wholeness that exists before any division. From this wholeness, the two fundamental, complementary forces of yin and yang arise. Yin is associated with the feminine, darkness, passivity, cold, softness, and receptivity. Yang is associated with the masculine, light, activity, heat, hardness, and assertion. Crucially, these are not opposing forces in a battle of good versus evil. They are interdependent partners in a cosmic dance. One cannot exist without the other. There is no light without darkness, no activity without rest, no creation without destruction. You can see this dance everywhere in nature. Day gives way to night, which gives way to day. The peak of summer's heat, yang, contains the seed of autumn's coolness, yin. Within the darkest point of winter lies the promise of the sun's return. The Tao Te Ching teaches that the wise person understands this dynamic interplay. Instead of clinging to one side and rejecting the other, always seeking pleasure and avoiding pain, always chasing success and fearing failure, the sage embraces the whole cycle, understanding that both are necessary parts of life's natural flow. By accepting this dance of opposites, one finds balance and tranquility. The Tao, then, is this mysterious, all-encompassing reality. It is the empty source, the uncarved block, the mother of yin and yang, the silent, invisible current that guides the symphony of the cosmos. To live a good life, a Taoist life, is not about following a set of external commandments. It is about becoming a quiet and sensitive listener, attuning your own inner nature to the great, silent music of the Tao. And the primary way to do this is through the practice of its signature concept, Wu Wei. Part 3. Wu Wei, the art of effortless action. Tao is the fundamental principle of the universe. Then Wu Wei is the primary principle of human action within it. The term is famously difficult to translate directly into English, which is why it often remains in its original Chinese. It is most commonly rendered as non-action, non-doing, or effortless action. Right away, this translation presents a problem for the modern Western mind. Our culture is built on a foundation of action, effort, and striving. We are taught from a young age that to succeed, you must work hard, push yourself, overcome obstacles through sheer force of will. Just do it is a cultural mantra. The idea of non-action sounds like a recipe for laziness, passivity, and failure. This, however, is a profound misunderstanding of one of the most sophisticated and powerful concepts in all of philosophy. Wu Wei does not mean sitting on a cushion and doing nothing at all. Laozi was not advocating for a life of utter indolence. Wu Wei means acting in a way that is in perfect, spontaneous harmony with the flow of the Tao. It is action without struggle, force, or excessive effort. It is the opposite of striving, of trying to impose your own rigid will upon a situation. It is the art of achieving the greatest effect with the least amount of resistance. It is, in a sense, getting out of your own way and allowing things to happen through you rather than forcing them to happen by you. Let's return to our river analogy. The river's journey to the sea is a perfect example of Wu Wei. The water doesn't strain or struggle. It doesn't try to batter its way through a mountain. It simply follows the path of least resistance. It flows around the mountain, gently, patiently, and over millennia, its soft, yielding nature can wear the mountain away. This is the paradox. The gentlest, most yielding thing in the world can overcome the hardest and most rigid. Think of a skilled surfer. A novice surfer tries to conquer the wave, to force the board where they want it to go. They fight the water, get tense, and inevitably they wipe out. The master surfer, on the other hand, doesn't fight the wave. They study it, feel its rhythm, and merge with its energy. They make subtle, almost imperceptible adjustments, using the wave's own power to carry them. They are not passive. They are intensely active and aware, but their action is so perfectly aligned with the flow of the water that it appears effortless, graceful, like a dance. That is Wu Wei. This principle can be applied to virtually every area of human life. Consider a creative endeavor, like writing or painting. You can't force inspiration. If you sit down and tell yourself, I am going to write a masterpiece right now, you will likely be met with a blank page and a feeling of intense frustration. The words will feel stiff and artificial. But if you relax, quiet your mind, and create a receptive state, the ideas can begin to flow naturally, as if from some deeper source. The act of creation becomes less of a struggle and more of a discovery. You are not imposing your will on the material, but cooperating with it. In interpersonal relationships, Wu Wei is the art of listening more than you speak. It's about letting go of the need to control the conversation, to win every argument, or to force someone to see things your way. When you approach a disagreement with the intention of dominating the other person, you create resistance and conflict. But if you approach it with a spirit of Wu Wei, you listen with genuine openness, you seek to understand their perspective without judgment, and you allow a solution to emerge collaboratively. You yield in the small points to achieve harmony on the larger ones. This soft approach is often far more effective at resolving conflict than a hard, confrontational one. Perhaps the most radical application of Wu Wei is in the realm of governance, a topic Laozi addresses frequently in the Tao Te Ching.
Brutal legalist policies, Laozi's advice was revolutionary. He said, "Governing a large country is like cooking a small fish." What does he mean by this? If you are cooking a small, delicate fish, you can't poke and prod it constantly, or it will fall apart. You handle it as little as possible. You apply gentle heat and let it cook. Similarly, Laozi believed the best ruler is one who governs with a light touch, who does not over-interfere in the lives of the people with endless laws, taxes, and projects. The sage ruler practices Wu Wei. They create the conditions for society to flourish on its own, trusting in the people's innate ability to find their own way. The ruler's presence is so subtle, so non-intrusive, that the people are barely aware of them. In chapter 17, he says, "The highest type of ruler is one of whose existence the people are barely aware. Next comes one whom they love and praise. Next comes one whom they fear. Next comes one whom they despise. When the master governs, the people are content. They believe they live in a state of nature." This is the political expression of getting out of your own way. The ruler who trusts the Tao, the natural, self-organizing capacity of life, doesn't need to micromanage everything. By doing less, they achieve more. Living with Wu Wei requires the cultivation of certain qualities. First and foremost is patience. The Tao does not operate on a human timetable. A seed takes time to grow. A river takes time to carve a canyon. Wu Wei means trusting the process and not trying to rush the outcome. It means knowing when to act, but also, crucially, knowing when to wait, when to observe, and when to let a situation ripen on its own. It also requires intuition. Because Wu Wei is about aligning with a flow that is often subtle and unseen, it cannot be guided by rigid plans or purely logical analysis. It requires a deep intuitive sensitivity to the dynamics of a situation. It's that gut feeling that tells you now is the time to speak, or it's better to stay silent. This intuition is cultivated by quieting the noisy analytical ego mind and learning to listen to a deeper, more subtle intelligence within. Finally, Wu Wei is intimately connected to the concept of ziran, which means self-so or spontaneity. It refers to the state of things in their own natural, unconditioned state. A tree grows in a state of ziran. A wild animal lives in a state of ziran. Wu Wei is acting in a way that is in accord with your own ziran and the ziran of the world around you. It is action that is authentic, spontaneous, and free from the artificial constraints of social convention or egoic ambition. It is to be so fully and naturally yourself that your actions flow without any inner friction or self-consciousness. In our hyper-productive, goal-oriented world, the practice of Wu Wei is a radical act of sanity. It is an invitation to release the exhausting burden of trying to control everything. It is the discovery that true power and effectiveness come not from more effort, but from more alignment, not from more force, but from more intelligence, not from fighting the river, but from learning to swim with its current. Part 4. The Three Treasures and Other Virtues. While Taoism is not a philosophy of strict moral rules, the Tao Te Ching does point to certain virtues or qualities that naturally arise in a person who lives in harmony with the Tao. These are not commandments to be followed out of a sense of duty, but rather the natural expression of a balanced and centered life. The most famous of these are known as the Three Treasures, or the Three Jewels, which Laozi outlines in chapter 67. He writes, "I have three precious things which I hold fast and prize. The first is compassion. The second is frugality. The third is humility. Let's explore each of these treasures as they form the ethical core of the Taoist way of life and offer profound guidance for navigating our world. Relationships with ourselves, with others, and with the world. The first treasure, compassion. Tzi. The very first and most important treasure for Laozi is Tzi, which is often translated as compassion, but also carries meanings of mercy, kindness, and love. This might seem surprising for a philosophy that emphasizes the impersonal, amoral nature of the Tao. The Tao itself is not compassionate in a human sense. It allows both the beautiful flower and the venomous snake to flourish. Yet for Laozi, compassion is the highest virtue for a human being. He follows up his statement by explaining the power of this virtue. From compassion comes courage. This is a profound psychological insight. A person who acts out of aggression, hatred, or fear may seem strong, but their courage is often brittle, a defensive reaction. True courage, the kind that allows one to face great challenges with steadfastness, is born from a deep sense of connection and care. A mother who rushes into a burning building to save her child is not thinking of her own safety. She is moved by an overwhelming force of love. A leader who genuinely cares for the well-being of their people will make difficult decisions, not for personal gain, but for the good of the whole. And this gives them the strength to withstand criticism and adversity. Compassion, in the Taoist sense, is an extension of our understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. When we realize that we are not separate, isolated egos, but are part of the vast web of the Tao, then harming another is, in a sense, harming ourselves. Compassion arises naturally from this non-dualistic perspective. It is the recognition of the shared Tao nature in all beings. It is an empathetic resonance with the suffering and joy of others. Practicing compassion means treating everyone and everything with a gentle kindness, moving through the world not as a conqueror, but as a gentle guardian. It is the emotional and ethical expression of Wu Wei. The second treasure, frugality, Jian. The second treasure is Jian, which can be translated as frugality, moderation, or simplicity. This virtue is a direct response to the human tendency toward excessive desire. Laozi observed that much of human suffering stems from the endless, exhausting pursuit of more. More wealth, more power, more fame, more sensory pleasure. This constant striving creates anxiety, envy, and a perpetual sense of dissatisfaction, because desire, by its very nature, is insatiable. In chapter 46, he writes, "There is no greater calamity than not knowing what is enough. There is no greater fault than the desire for gain." The virtue of frugality is the wisdom of knowing what is enough. It is not about asceticism or self-deprivation. It is not about living a miserable, impoverished life. It is about finding a profound and lasting contentment in simplicity. This means distinguishing between our genuine needs and our superfluous wants. It means appreciating the simple pleasures of life, a warm meal, a walk in nature, a conversation with a friend, which often bring far more lasting joy than the complex and expensive pleasures we are conditioned to chase. Frugality is about conserving our resources, not just our money, but also our time and our vital energy, our qi. When we are not constantly wasting our energy chasing after non-essential things, we have more of it available for what truly matters. From this frugality, Laozi says, comes generosity. This seems like a paradox. How can being frugal make one more generous? But it makes perfect sense. The person who is constantly craving more for themselves never feels like they have enough to spare. They are in a state of perceived lack. The person who is content with simplicity, who knows what is enough, feels a sense of abundance, even with modest material means. Because they are not a slave to their own desires, they are free to share what they have with others. True generosity comes not from having much, but from needing little. In a world defined by consumerism and the relentless pressure to acquire, the Taoist virtue of frugality is a revolutionary path to freedom, contentment, and genuine abundance. The third treasure, humility, Bu Gan Wei Tian Xia Xian. The third treasure is the most subtly Taoist of all. The phrase Bu Gan Wei Tian Xia Xian translates literally as not daring to be first under heaven, or more simply, humility. In a competitive society, both in ancient China and today, everyone is striving to be number one, to be the best, the most successful, the most recognized. Laozi suggests that this ambition is a source of great strife, and that true leadership and lasting influence come from the opposite direction. He explains, from humility comes leadership. Again, this is a paradox. How does one lead by not putting oneself first? Laozi uses the recurring metaphor of water and the valley. Water, as we've seen, always seeks the lowest place. By doing so, it gathers the strength of all the mountain streams and becomes a mighty river or a vast ocean. The valley, because it is lower than the mountains, is fertile and life-giving. Similarly, the sage or the wise leader does not exalt themselves above others. They are humble, receptive, and willing to place themselves in a lower position. By doing so, they earn the genuine respect and trust of the people. People are naturally drawn to a leader who does not have a large ego, who listens to others, and who serves the good of the group rather than their own ambition. This humility is not a false modesty or a lack of self-worth. It is a deep-seated understanding that our individual ego is small in the grand scheme of the Tao. It is the wisdom to let go of the need for credit and recognition. The humble person can accomplish great things precisely because they are not attached to the outcome or to receiving praise for it. They act with the quiet efficiency of the Tao itself. As Laozi says in Chapter 2, the master acts without claiming the results as his. He performs his work and then lets go. This is why his work is so lasting. Beyond these three treasures, the Tao Te Ching is filled with praise for virtues that reflect this same spirit. The power of softness and yielding, as exemplified by water, is a constant theme. In Chapter 78, he states, "Under heaven, nothing is more soft and yielding. Yet for attacking the hard and strong, nothing can compare with it." This is a profound lesson in strategy, applicable to everything from martial arts to personal relationships. When faced with rigid opposition, meeting it with more rigidity often leads to a shattering clash. But a yielding, adaptable response can absorb the force of the attack and gently redirect it, ultimately prevailing without a destructive struggle. These virtues, compassion, frugality, humility, and the strength of yielding, are not a moral checklist. They are the natural characteristics of a life lived in flow. They are the outward signs of an inner alignment with the deep, quiet, and profoundly powerful way of the universe. Part 5. Living the Tao in the Modern World. We have journeyed through the war-torn landscape of ancient China, we have met the enigmatic old master at the mountain pass, and we have waded into the deep, paradoxical waters of his wisdom. We have contemplated the nature of the unnamable Tao, the art of effortless Wu Wei, and the profound ethics of the three treasures. The final and perhaps most important question remains. How can we, as people living in the 21st century, a world of smartphones, social media, and relentless global competition, bring this ancient and subtle philosophy into our own lives? How do we find the way in a world that seems to be rushing in the opposite direction? The beauty of Taoism is that it does not require a radical break from your life. It does not demand that you renounce the world and retreat to a mountain cave, though it certainly respects that path. Rather, it is a practice of subtle shifts in perception and awareness that can be integrated into the very fabric of your daily existence. It is less about changing what you do and more about changing how you do it. Let's distill this ancient wisdom into a practical toolkit, a set of practices you can begin to experiment with, not as rigid rules, but as gentle invitations to experience life in a different way. 1. Become a quiet observer of nature. This is the most fundamental Taoist practice. Nature is the Tao Te Ching in living form. Make a conscious effort to spend time in nature, not as a backdrop for a hike or a workout, but simply to observe. Go to a park, a forest, or even just look out your window at a single tree. Watch without judging or analyzing. Notice the way the branches of a tree grow, not in straight, perfect lines, but finding their way around obstacles, reaching for the light with a kind of patient intelligence. Observe the flow of water in a stream, how it adapts instantly to its container, how it is both soft and powerful. Watch the clouds drift across the sky, constantly changing form, never clinging to one shape. By immersing yourself in the rhythms of the natural world, you begin to intuitively absorb the principles of the Tao. You start to feel the wisdom of cycles, the power of yielding, and the beauty of spontaneous, unforced action. This practice costs nothing, and it is a powerful way to recalibrate your mind and spirit, moving it away from the artificial, frantic pace of human society and back toward the serene, steady rhythm of the Tao. 2. Practice the art of letting go. So much of our stress comes from clinging to expectations, to outcomes, to opinions, to past regrets and future worries. A core Taoist practice is the conscious act of letting go. This can start with your breath. When you feel anxious or stressed, simply focus on your exhalation. With each out-breath, imagine you are releasing your grip on whatever is troubling you. Extend this to your daily activities. When working on a project, do your best work and then let go of the outcome. You cannot control how it will be received. In a conversation, let go of the need to be right. Simply express your view and listen to the others. When plans go awry, practice accepting the new situation rather than resisting it and lamenting what should have been. This is not about being apathetic, it is about conserving your energy. Resisting reality is exhausting and futile. By learning to flow with what is, you free up immense mental and emotional resources. 3. Embrace simplicity and declutter. This is the practical application of the treasure of frugality. Look at your life and ask, what is truly essential? What brings genuine contentment and what is just clutter? This applies to your physical possessions, but also to your schedule, your commitments, and your digital life. Start with your physical space. Go through your belongings and let go of things that no longer serve a real purpose or bring you joy. A cluttered space often reflects and contributes to a cluttered mind. The goal is not sterile minimalism, but to create an environment that feels calm, spacious, and supportive. Then look at your calendar. Are you overscheduled? Are you saying yes to things out of obligation or fear of missing out? Practice the art of saying no gracefully. Protect your time and energy for the people and activities that truly nourish you. Finally, declutter your digital life. Unsubscribe from email lists you never read. Unfollow social media accounts that make you feel anxious or inadequate. Set aside specific times to be completely screen-free. Create space for silence, for your own thoughts to emerge without the constant bombardment of external stimuli. 4. Find Wu Wei in small moments. You don't have to wait for a major life crisis to practice effortless action. Look for opportunities in your everyday life.
You are washing the dishes. Don't rush through it as a chore. Feel the warmth of the water, the smoothness of the plates. Allow your movements to become fluid and efficient, without tension. When you are driving in traffic, instead of fighting it, getting angry and tense, accept it. Put on some calming music. Use the time to practice patience. When faced with a problem at work, resist the urge to immediately force a solution. Step back, take a walk. Let your subconscious mind work on it. Often, the best solution emerges when you stop striving for it. By practicing Wu Wei in these small ways, you begin to build the muscle of non-striving, making it more natural to apply this principle to bigger challenges. 5. Cultivate inner stillness. The Tao cannot be heard amidst the noise of a constantly chattering mind. The Taoist path is one of cultivating inner stillness. This can be done through formal meditation, simply sitting and watching your breath for a few minutes each day. But it can also be done informally. Find moments to simply be silent. Sit in a chair and do nothing for 5 minutes. Go for a walk without your phone or music. In this stillness, you are not trying to achieve anything. You are simply creating an empty space, like the inside of the clay pot. It is in this inner quiet that you can begin to hear your own intuition more clearly. You can begin to sense the subtle currents of situations, allowing you to respond with the effortless grace of Wu Wei. This inner stillness is the source of true strength and clarity. Living a Taoist life in the modern world is a quiet rebellion. It is a rebellion against the cult of speed, the obsession with control, and the endless hunger for more. It is choosing depth over breadth, contentment over ambition, and wisdom over information. It is a path of returning to what is most essential, most natural, and most true, both in the world around us and deep within our own hearts. Conclusion. We began our journey today at the edge of a river, a symbol of the Tao itself, flowing, yielding, and powerful. We have traveled back in time to an age of chaos that gave birth to a philosophy of profound peace. We have grappled with the mystery of the Tao, the power of Wu Wei, and the quiet strength of compassion, simplicity, and humility. The wisdom of Laozi is not a destination to be reached, but a current to be joined. It does not offer a set of easy answers that will solve all of life's problems. Instead, it offers a change in perspective, a new way of seeing and being that can transform our relationship with those problems. It teaches us that we do not have to live in a state of constant friction with the world. Life does not have to be an uphill battle. By learning to quiet the striving of our own egos, by attuning ourselves to the natural rhythms of existence, and by trusting in the inherent wisdom of the process, we can begin to experience the grace and effectiveness of the river. We learn that in yielding, we find strength. In emptiness, we find potential. In letting go, we find freedom. And in the profound simplicity of just being, we find our way back to the source. The Tao Te Ching has endured for thousands of years, not because it is a historical artifact, but because it speaks to a timeless and universal human longing, the longing for harmony. It is a gentle reminder that for all our technological advancement and societal complexity, the deepest truths are often the simplest, and they are written not in books, but in the silent, effortless turning of the cosmos. The way is always there, beneath the surface of our busy lives, waiting for us to become still enough to notice it and brave enough to join its flow. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the world of Laozi and the Tao Te Ching. If this exploration of ancient wisdom resonated with you, and if you are interested in continuing to explore the great philosophical traditions that can help us live more conscious and meaningful lives, I invite you to become part of our community here at Subconscious Stories. Please like this video if you found value in it, subscribe to the channel, and perhaps share a thought in the comments below. How have you experienced the principle of flow or effortless action in your own life? Your insights enrich this conversation for all of us. Until next time, may you walk your path with the quiet strength of the sage, and may your life flow with the effortless grace of the Tao.